All right, so what I want you to do first is now I want you to take that chart that we created for the new cases, and I want you to make sure yours does new cases. If you look on mine, I did one too. I did the state of Illinois, um, and I looked at theirs. I did the total number of cases. I did one chart for that, and then I just did new cases. So I'm just going to really focus on the new cases. So what I did is I took my new cases and what I did is I plotted them. All right, I plotted them on a graph. I started with day 8 at on my from my XY chart as day 1 here. So this is really day 8 on my XY chart for the new cases of corona. All right, so I plotted them along here, and you can see it's starting to turn up in there. All right, so that's what we don't want to see it, but what we're looking at. So some of you should be not only turning up, but you should be turning back down. Hopefully, mine looks like it's just starting to like make that turn, which might be a positive thing because if they start going down, then that means that they were talking about flattening the curve. And they may have actually done that. They may have actually flattened the curve on this thing, and it may just start going down. All right, now, what are they talking about flattening the curve? Well, we talked about this before. This is what a bell curve looks like. All right, this is what your bell curve looks like, and this is what they're talking about is flattening it. Instead of making it rise up as much as it does here, all right, as high as it goes, they're talking about making it go maybe lower. So maybe instead of looking like that, it's going to look like this. All right, so something like that. And that's what they mean by flattening this curve. All right, what I want to talk to you about, and what I want you to focus on for the rest of this week is this. There's actually 3 parts to this bell curve. Okay, there's this part, all right, over here, all right, which this one is exponential growth. All right, that is an exponential growth function. Everybody should be at that on that point. Let me pull it over some. All right, so this is our exponential growth function this side of the curve, of the bell curve. Again, so what I want you to do is I want you to come up with the equation of this curve. All right, now this curve should be y equals a. You'll have to figure that out. And then also, well, there's an R in here. All right. And then there's the variable is the X. All right. So it's going to be y equals a. And this is actually your a sub 1. All right. So that's the first day on yours. So if I was doing mine as day 8 on my graph, I think day 8 I had 8 cases or 4 cases of it, so that might be a 4 for me or something like that. And then you got to figure out what this R is. R is a ratio, and I can show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that to get the ratio in your table. All right, but you're gonna have to do it and try to find out what your ratio is. All right, so that's concentrating on this side. That's our exponential growth one. So that's what I want you to. I want you to give me an equation for that. All right. Then what I want you to do is you should hopefully have gotten into here somewhere. All right. And mine, maybe it did because maybe I'm flattening out the curve. So maybe it's looking like this. So maybe my last couple are going to be here. All right. But you have until the end of break to do this. All right. Because Friday is the first day of break, and then we're off for a week. And then when you come back, this is when I really want to check these and see what you came up with. All right. Because what I want to do is this. All right. So let me get back to what we're doing. So this is our exponential growth one. So that's the first part I want you to do. All right, and that is this part of our bell curve. The second part of our bell curve is this. And everybody should recognize this. All right, we've done equations for these. This is actually a parabola. All right, and it's an upside down parabola. All right, and that's the middle of your curve. All right, so again, this is our parabola. And this should have our y equals ax minus h squared plus k. All right, so that's our formula for this part of it. All right, so you should hopefully have a couple numbers in here. And if you have a couple numbers in here, you can write this equation. Just be careful. Remember, our a is going to be negative because it's turning down. So in your equation, make sure that's negative, because what we're going to do is we're going to actually get a couple of these and we're going to make some predictions for these. So we're going to actually try to figure out using our equation when this thing's going to start coming down. All right, when we're actually going to start getting on the other side of this. All right, so that's our second equation that I want you to do. And then our last equation, all right, this is actually an exponential decay. All right, exponential decay. And this equation, again, it's going to be like your first equation. Your y equals a r to the x power. All right, and again, a should be your a sub 1. In this case, your a sub 1 is going to be up in here somewhere. All right, whatever that number is, and then that r, you're going to have to try to figure it out. Now, if you're not here, you're not going to do this one. All right, I really want you, what I want you to focus on is this part, because this part is the part the information that we really need to know, right? We need to know when we're going to get over this thing, when we're going to break this top and start heading down. All right, so I want you to make this equation. I want you to make this equation. I want you to make your XY, you turn your XY charts into a graph so that you can actually try to come up with these two different parts. All right, so again, two different parts for this. We have our parabola and we have our exponential growth model. So the exponential growth model, everybody should be able to do that and come up with that. This parabola, I want you to come up with that, try to get these, and then try to figure out when we're actually going to make a prediction for your state, your country, or whatever. I think Wuhan, China, they're all the way on this other side. I think actually they're down in here right now because they're only having like 1 or 2 new cases from what they reported on the news. So some of you are actually further along on this parabola shape, and your predictions should be pretty good because you should be able to get here, a point here and a point here. So you should be able to really get a good equation for that part of the bell curve. All right, so that's what you guys are doing.